Alright, so the new Godzilla and Kong figures are finally out. Officially, for sure. Alright, so no more rumors for the most part. No more like when and where these figures are going to come out. For the most part, they're finally appearing in Walmart and Target stores, and people are finding them. So, hopefully it's going to be about time till I find them, because originally I wanted to do a toy hunt today, but unfortunately that didn't happen due to certain, circumstances. And of course, I was also going to upload another gameplay video today, and weird stuff happen. So yeah, but it's all good. But there's still a couple things we need to talk about, and most importantly, before I get to that, it does have a little bit to regard about what I was talking about the other day when it came to scalping, because unfortunately, with the new movie coming out, we all knew this was going to happen. These figures are going to be hunted down, but not for the right reason, unfortunately. And we all know what scalping is, and then we all know how it works. Someone finds it, sells it for a much more high profit than what it is, and the next thing you know, yeah, you're happy you got your figure, but then you're also really miserable that you just wasted a lot of money on a figure that you can easily get for a cheap price, which is ironic considering that, these are technically kids' toys, but they're surprisingly good kids' toys. So that's the weird part about it. When you get grown people like me wanting to find these, hey, you did your job right. So I think that's okay. What's not okay is, of course, bootlegs, because that's what we're going to be discussing a little bit about today. Because unfortunately, obviously, even the last movie, of course, suffered the same issue, where of course you're going to be finding bootlegs of these figures, and it less has to do with like how it's so obvious that they're bootlegs, and more with how it seems like they're starting to take that approach like the NECA bootlegs did, where it's basically the exact same figure and everything, and maybe even the package might be the same, but of course the quality and the feel of the figure is going to be completely different. I don't know it personally too much. I mean, to be fair, I remember a long, long time ago when I was getting into the Bandai figures, the Bandai Creations Godzilla action figures, which they're always going to be the best no matter what. I mean, they're still around, but in the form of movie monster series. But you get the point. I remember my first figure was Shin Godzilla, but I guess I was so happy to have him. I didn't really care too much that it was a bootleg, even though I literally didn't learn about it until like a couple years later, which I know is kind of dumb. I mean, the quality was just obvious. You know what I mean? It was like, wow. I guess it didn't matter because the seller I bought it from, apparently he got into a lot of trouble for something. But that's just from what my dad told me. I don't know too much about that story. I should definitely tell that for sure. But let's continue talking about the toys right now, because here's the issue, right? These figures, pretty much the problem with them now is that they pretty much look like the real thing, and they're being passed on as the real thing, but they're actually not. But the weird thing is that it's pretty obvious that they're bootlegs for sure. I mean, they got like these weird, funny names from these companies that I've never even heard of, like Tamiya or something like that. Basically what it is that if you want to get your kids, the newest Godzilla toys, you can easily just hop on Amazon, and you could get them for a somewhat decent price. Which is ironic because coming out of all places, why the hell does Amazon have fake bootleg Godzilla action figures? And mind you, they've been doing this for a while, for a very, very long time. Even their movie monster series and their Bandai stuff have been bootlegged for sure. And it's not hard to see like that they're obviously crap. Basically, the easiest way to spot them is that if they look really, really glossy, and it's pretty obvious that the reason why they do that is to kind of give off that appeal of the sort of realness, and kind of like, hey, it's kind of fancy, you know what I mean? Because it's like, it looks cool. Why wouldn't you want a nice glossy action figure showing off all the nice shine and all that? Space Godzilla, of course, as an example, he has like a weird sort of shine to how he looks. And I'm talking specifically both the movie monster series and the Playmates version, which I know a lot of people say is hot garbage, but I mean, it is what it is, all right? At least Playmates has gotten better over time, so I think talking crap about their action figures nowadays, I don't know. It's not. It's lost its touch. It's like there's really no point because they're better now. Sorry about that. Not these bootlegs though. What I don't understand is that the one that got me the most was the Skullcrawler one, where there's, for some odd reason, there's like different versions of him where he's different colors, but Playmates hasn't really made color variants of that type of figure. You think they would, because technically a Skullcrawler could count as a body. Not I'm so done. I'm so tired. I was literally gonna say bodybuilder. I meant to say army builder. That's what I meant to say. I said body. But you get the idea. You know what I mean? So you would think that Playmates might make a whole bunch of, more of those figures, even if it's just the same sculpt and all that. But I guess some bootleg company got a head start because you can pretty much easily find them on good old Amazon. And then, of course, obviously, now with the new movie, of course, not only are, of course, scalpers are, selling their figures on Amazon for an extremely ridiculous price of like $50 or so in some cases. Of course, there's going to be bootleg versions of those too. Now, you're probably wondering, right, Josh, why you're talking about this? What's the point of this? Well, because this is mostly for like this video in particular, the one I'm making right now, this is mostly towards like the families and the adults where if you want to get your kids these new Godzilla toys, it's just better to go try and find them in stores. And if you could find a way to find them online with no issues, and you could find like a good legitimate seller that's not very suspicious and all that, I say go for it. But let's be careful and just kind of hold off on buying stuff online for a little bit. And of course, I'm saying this both because of the scalper issue and of course because of the bootleg issue. Because we all want the actual thing. You know what I mean? You don't want to buy some sort of plastic toy and then the next thing you know, in a couple years later, you wonder why you get sick because of the paint with some toxic lead. You know what I mean? We all gotta remember that that's still a thing. People don't really think about that as much. But obviously, even when you go to like maybe not Dollar Tree, but whatever, anywhere that sells bootleg toys, pretty much like you're very like places that you could just very obviously find them. Especially those weird ninja ones, there has to be some sort of weird issues with their paint, like how it kind of passes through, like the companies and all that, and of course how when they pay and then the toxic lead. You don't want that. That's not good. You don't want that. And I'm not saying that that's gonna happen if you buy these figures. I rather it's better if you waste your money on a crap toy than get a crap toy and then you end up dying from it years and years later. Which I know that sounds like an exaggeration, but we know that that's kind of a real fear for sure when it comes to action figures. You know what I mean? Obviously, these companies are not stupid. These bigger professional ones like Playmates and all that, they're not just going to use stupid, dumb lead and all that that's super toxic and poisonous. But these bootleg companies don't care. So please be very careful when you shop online. Just because your kid might be desperate for the new Godzilla toys, don't just randomly stumble upon them thinking that you're gonna get a good deal, because even if they end up liking what they want, you still gotta think about that. Plus, what about the quality, right? If we're not talking like the toxic paint, we of course gotta worry about like the quality of the action figure. I mean, I'll give you an example right now. This Black Panther figure. This is one of my favorites of the Marvel Legends line. Imagine getting like a bootleg version of this. Like the limbs are loose. Everything tears apart and all that. You don't want that. That's terrible. And that did happen to me with my bootleg Shin Godzilla, where the tail was just super loose. But we're talking like going full 360. You know what I mean? It's like, no, that's not good. No, be careful. I'm sorry. I know finding these toys is gonna be pretty hard. So unless you know a good place where you can find them, you're better off just trying to find them in stores, than to just go on Amazon of all places, because it kind of bothers me a lot that they have these bootleg products and all that, and it's like they sell them for real cheap sometimes, or they put out some sort of sale, which they do that sometimes. They do it when you least expect it, because let's be honest, Amazon's pretty expensive, especially when they did the whole, now you gotta spend more than $35 just to get the free shipping. And I know what you're thinking, right, Josh? Just get Prime. And I'm like, hold up. That's a whole other thing in and of itself. If I don't got the money for it, I ain't gonna go that far, okay? And of course, obviously, it's the same issue with the scalping. It's like, damn, do you really want to, go on eBay and spend that much money? You know what I mean? It's tricky. So please take my advice. Let's try our best to find these figures. And like I say, if you know a good seller online, that you could kind of get these from, whether it's from private or Facebook, whatever. I mean, I shouldn't really say that because Facebook groups, they're not innocent either. I'll mention it very briefly, but long story short, there are some Facebook groups, dedicated to toy hunting, but some of them, they're not really in it for the toys, but in it for the scalping, so you gotta be careful on that. Not all of them, but just thought I kind of let you guys know, because let's actually try and enjoy the hunt, you know what I mean? So, look at it like that. So until then, thank you guys for kind of tuning in today on the Godzilla X Kong New Empire toy coverage. I have a whole playlist. I have two playlists. I have the Josheee's talk videos where I talk about random crap relating to action figures and like video games and other bullshit and all that. And then, of course, I have another playlist just specifically dedicated to talking about the new movie and, of course, the new toys. So take a look at that if you want. I have a playlist. Just check it out on my channel. Speaking of channel, if you like what you saw, leave a like and subscribe if you want. Like, dislike, comment, spill your heart out, and tell me what do you think. What do you think about this whole thing with Amazon and their weird bootleg madness? I don't know. What do you guys think? So until then, peace out. So see ya.